His scientific impact is evident through over 1060 research publications, 4 book chapters, more than 7,600 citations. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Ravichandran to deliver the keynote address.
Distinguished delegates on the dais, off the dais, and online participants. Very good evening to all of you. And indeed, it is a great pleasure to be part of this particular conference. Because though I am not very familiar to ocean law and policy, but I am basically working on ocean research and various developmental activities. So I will just quickly, what I want to convey in this 15 minutes is basically I want to throw some light on especially lawmakers and policy makers, basically what are the ocean's opportunities and challenges, especially in the Indian Ocean region, so that how we can govern the rules of procedure in this area. This is the main objective. I will throw some light on that. So maybe my slides are there, but having said that, maybe we can go ahead. Awesome. Okay. So I will just quickly show some opportunities and challenges. So next slide. So when you talk about the future priorities, when you talk about the oceans, I essentially look at the 5 phenomena, especially energy, water, food, and all these 3 factors along with the health. Health, I mean human health as well as the health of the ecosystem. All these 4 elements, how it will evolve and how it is going to change under the warming scenario or climate change scenario, how it will be availability as well as various resources. Having said that, we have to have a mitigation of various hazards as well as we need to sustain the ocean, sustainability of the ocean in the future, what is called generations. Next slide. So when you talk about the ocean's opportunities, of course it is having oceans of opportunities. The first and foremost is, of course, it feeds us, and it is most important, it regulates weather and climate, and also it is having a producer of oxygen and largest carbon sinks, and providing various living and non-living resources. And it is a home ground for the tourism and recreation, and as the earlier speakers pointed out, it is a marine transport, and then it is security and coastal protections. Having all these opportunities, but of course we have explored we know only 5% of the ocean in the depth as well as in various columns. So we need to explore much more. Under this, of course, we have to look at the SDG 14, and also this decade is a UN decade of the oceans science for sustainable development. Basically, the objective is science we need for the ocean we want. Next slide. So what are since we have the opportunity, but comes with some challenges. There are 3 kinds of challenges. One is non-climatic stress, essentially is natural hazards, floods, tsunamis, and associated storm surges, and marine litter, and overexploitation, oil spills, and so on. And climatic stress is basically sea level rise, and ocean warming, marine heat wave, and the intensity of cyclone increasing day by day, year by year, and coral health, mangroves, and harmful algal bloom, and acidification, ocean acidification. And then there are other challenges are basically how to map the resources, whether we have a technology to harness various resources, how to mitigate various challenges like both climatic and non-climatic stress, and what are the governing rules, maybe what are the laws and policies we have to tackle, what are the challenges, and also security, and also international and geopolitical strategy, and finally, what is the human capital available for all these things. Next slide. So when you come to Indian Ocean, actually Indian Ocean is very unique. Of course, many the earlier speaker has pointed out, this is one of the physically, maybe the physical geographical setting is unique because this is the only ocean where you have a reversal of currents, especially in the North Indian Ocean. The currents as well as the winds reverse 6 months in one side and another 6 months in another side. There is no other ocean is having like that. And second thing, this is the only thing where we don't have a northern side opening. So because of that heat accumulated in the Indian Ocean, especially in the Central Indian Ocean, North Indian Ocean, it cannot transport it elsewhere. So it is warming more and more. So this is the uniqueness of this Indian Ocean. And also you can see that only this Indian Ocean we have in the low latitude opening, the Indonesian through flow, where excess heat comes from the Pacific. And also this is the only ocean where the currents goes towards poleward in the Australia coastal current and other things, whereas all other places it is going towards the equator belt. So these are the various uniqueness. Of course, it is having a large spectrum of changes in like from cyclones, maiden Julian oscillation we call, and monsoon, Indian Ocean dipole in the interannual time scale, and long-term climate change, and also biogeochemistry and the ocean circulation. There are rich variability in different time scales, but of course we have poorly observed the Indian Ocean. We need to observe more and more. Of course now Indian Ocean is not more under-observed. We are putting more and more instrumentation to observe and understand the ocean. Next slide. So when you talk about the challenges in future, what will happen to the Indian Ocean, if you talk about the climate projection, of course the Indian Ocean is going to be at least 0.17 to 0.38 degrees centigrade decade. It is going to be increasing, and the marine heat wave also is going to be increased. Now presently 20 days per year, now it will be going to be in the end of the century, it will be roughly about 220 days per year, and also chlorophyll, surface chlorophyll is declining, and reduction in primary productivity, increase in acidification, and also increase the presence of marine ecosystem and coral reef. So all these things, apart from that marine litter, it is also contributing to the Indian Ocean. I think we need to tackle these various challenges. For that we need a governing and rules and procedure. Next slide. So I make it, of course the Indian Ocean is in terms of, it is a diversity of large diversity in terms of livelihood, trade, and also it is a culture and biodiversity and climate. All these things are very unique. So I have a 5, of course when you are talking about this year's theme, this annual conference is a developing world. I have a point agenda. One is we need to prioritize the livelihood and food security, and second, regional cooperation rooted in South-South solidarity, and third one is integrating traditional knowledge and participatory governance, and the climate resilience and ecosystem-based approaches, and the last one is innovative finance and capacity building. So these are the focus area we need to build on in the various developing world to cope up with other areas. Next slide. So apart from resource, basically what we need to do, we have to have a harness the ocean resources. You have, as I mentioned, there are a lot of living resources in terms of how we have to augment. Maybe when we are talking about the blue economy, of course in India perspective it is, we are talking about 4% of GDP. Now how we can double this 4% to double digit or 8%. For that, what are the avenues, what are the things to do? There are something living resources in terms of various activities, and also mariculture, southern ocean fisheries, and how do we do for seaweed and seagrass, and also there are various other fish stock replenishment, migration methods. In terms of non-living resources, we need to have a renewable energy. You may not be surprised that in Indian Ocean, especially in India, in the east, we have roughly about 9 terawatt hours are available in ocean energy. Even 1% if you are able to harness, that is more than sufficient. But we are not able to harness. There is a reason, because of the economical constraint or technological constraints. We need to do that in the coming years. Basically, we want to develop a technology. And fresh water from the ocean, or also the minerals from the ocean. All these things we need to think about how we can harness in the various ocean resources in sustainable way. Next slide. And also we have a shipping, of course, ocean infrastructure we have to increase in terms of shipping, and also we need to go for a coastal ecotourism, because we don't have any of the major ecotourism all along the Indian Ocean, not only from India but also in other regions, not much. Basically the countries are situated, not developed countries, maybe all along the countries are various constraints, so it is imperative that we need to develop coastal ecotourism. Next slide. And also we need to improve the marine trade and services. Essentially we need to have a ease of doing business in the coastal sector. We need to have a marine spatial planning, and for that what are the things we need to do, investment and various activities, and also we need to have a marine security and multi-sectoral institutional mechanism we need to put in place, and also we need to have indigenous key technologies, various technologies we need to augment, and of course we need to national interest in various bodies of UNCLOS, CLCS, International Seabed Authority, and various other BBNJ in the coming years. And also we need to have innovation, R&D and human capital in line with various technological elements. Next slide. So also we need to mitigate various hazards, especially some of the hazards are rapid transit hazard like storms, flooding, storms and tsunamis. And there are something slow onset hazard, it is like erosion, as well as sea level rise and saltwater intrusion, and also land subsidence. All these things we need to, how to mitigate in various time scales we need to think about it. Next slide. And the way forward I want to put forth is basically we need to observe the ocean, both in situ and satellites in the entire Indian Ocean, and also we need to plan entire coastline marine spatial planning. What we need to build in the coastal infrastructure, what we should not build it. We need to have a plan, like a town planning, we should have a coastal marine spatial planning. And also we need to explore and identify various resources, what are the resources are available, how do we harness sustainably, we need to think about it. For that we need to develop various technology, and also we need to acquire more and more data, and also data and science-based decision making we need to go for it, and mitigation measures for various hazards, not only for climatic but also non-climatic. And also we need to develop an ecosystem-based solution, especially blue carbon and other things. And for all these things we need to develop laws and policies to facilitate, to harness the ocean, to mitigate the ocean, and for various other aspects of the ocean. So ultimately we need to have a clean, healthy, resilient ocean, productive and predictive ocean, safe and accessible ocean, and inspiring and engaging ocean we need. For this, ocean is basically, we all know that ocean is our future in terms of especially food, water, energy, health, and climate change and security. For that, only one thing is we need to have a collaboration, like other speakers has pointed out, collaboration is the key. I think we can work towards on that. I am sure that this conference will bring out various resources as well as mitigation measures, how we can do. At the same time, what are the rules of procedure or laws and maybe policies we have to implement in our Indian Ocean. That it will be very unique, not like global. Everybody in developing world, what they are doing it, which we cannot follow. We need to have our own system of the Indian Ocean. For that, we can have a collaboration mechanism in place. And I am sure that this conference will bring out some actionable recommendation so that we can all